Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jason. You're watching RC Off-Road Racing. All right, so we are looking at the 8-scale electronics graveyard I have here. Got an SCT that I somehow ruined. This just stopped working on me one day, and that was the Hobby Wing Plus, the 6S version, or 6S capable, competition ESC. Then we got this one, which the windings are bad in this. It's got a couple of burnt, winding or two, so it doesn't work. This one actually works. It just needs a new rotor. So I'm holding on to this, and I will put a new rotor. It's a 2250 kV truggy motor that Tekin actually sells rotors for them for a reasonable replacement price. And I've got some new bearings to put in it too when I get them. So I will likely buy a new rotor for that. They're about $55 where I've been able to find them. I think A-Main and also eBay, I believe. This one's got some burnt windings that, so basically I guess they burn for whatever reason, and then they break, and then the current can't flow through it properly, and you get a motor that'll just go and it won't really do anything. This Hobby Wing is the same way. So I think this motor was this way when I got it. It never worked. So all right, the other motors, all these motors except for this one, this motor, and these two over here, they still work, but they were actually accidental purchases. When I was getting into trying to figure out brushless systems, I bought a few, not really knowing what the numbers meant, just to kind of learn about it, check it out. And so these were a size that fit these old WL Toys buggies that I were my first RC cars, actually. So all right guys, so those are dead. So today what we're going to talk about is I need to get a new buggy motor because I currently have a G3 in my buggy, and it works fine. I've replaced it with a G2 motor or rotor, but the rotor is in a little bit, it's a little worse for wear, but it works fine right now. So I'm gonna run that for the first race or two. I got a race coming up on the 16th at Red Brush in Mount Airy, so I will run it there. But I'm gonna be looking for a new motor, and I've got a couple ones that I'm looking at, and we're gonna go over those, and I want to show y'all the different options that I'm looking at, the different values, and just kind of let y'all know what I'm thinking right now. And I'm thinking about, like with the truggy, I tried a a sensorless application, a sensorless motor from Hobby Wing. I've got high hopes for it, but anyway, all right. So let's get to this. One other thing, I also was looking a little more into Hobby Wing's 2200 kV buggy motor, the G3 motor they have, then 2200 kV, and the Adam Drake has now installed into his buggy, and said that's what he's going to use this year. So and I found something, and I think this might be the reason, or at least partial the reason. The 1900 kV motor weighs I think about 325 grams, I think it said, on average, and the 2200 kV is 285. So that's 45 about 50 gram difference, so maybe that really helps in this Mugen for whatever. But I guess we will see. Like I said, I'm not sure, but that's just something I'm thinking. So all right, so let's take a look at these motors that I'm looking at now. All right, guys, first up motor, we're gonna look from at the cheapest first, and then kind of move through the line of these. Are all going to be kind of lower priced options that I'm looking at, because I definitely want to try. I'm thinking about something kind of in the middle of the road, maybe sensorless, maybe censored. We've got a couple of good options we're going to look at, but first we're going to start with this Surpass Hobby 4068. It's basically going to be the same thing without the extra cooling fins, and this is one of the cheaper options. So this looks like could be good for somebody just entering, don't want to spend too much money. This motor is likely to come with a cheaper grade of bearing, so it probably won't last as long and won't have as good of heat dissipation. just based on not having the extra fins, and it's being in the cheaper line of vehicles, or line of motors. I think it's a good place to start. I would expect maybe 6 months of use, hard use, before it would need new bearings or something, or maybe be time for an upgrade. But definitely not a bad choice if you're really on a budget, because this one's coming in around $36 to $40. All right, next up is the 4268 brushless motor, 1980 kV from Rocket. It's their newest generation of sensorless, kind of mid-range on quality. I would expect that this motor would probably come with either NMB or NSK bearings. So this is going to be a good start. It looks like you could wire it directly to the ESC, because those are not, windings extending out of the motor. So, it looks pretty good. It will definitely be more efficient with the heatsink, and probably better bearings. So I think this might be a good option in the sensorless format at a 1980 kV. So I'd like to try something like this, and this is a serious contender, and it's coming in at about $50 on eBay. All right, guys, next motor we're looking at is a Sky RC Toro 1/8 model, which I do think this is made by the same company as ZTW. I could be wrong, but it looks real similar. I know ZTW does have a 1950, and they had a 2150 kV. So, but right now, all I'm finding in these Toros is the 2150 and the 2350, which is a little high. It's a buggy length can. 2150 might be a good option though, because I'm considering maybe going a little higher on kV potentially. But this one's coming in about $70, and it's the 2150 is coming in at about $100. If the 2350 is coming in at about 70. So I think I'm not going to go with this one, but it could be a good motor. All right, next up is the Surpass Hobby 4268 Rocket RC 1/8 1950 6/8S short can 68 millimeters censored brushless motor. Now this motor is censored. It's a Surpass motor, Rocket. It looks like a newer generation, and it likely will do well. I've had some other very similar motors. The 2250, I think I might have ruined it by not wiping off the resin I use when soldering. I think it dripped down and burnt some of the windings. So that may have been my fault. Doesn't look like a whole lot's upgraded on it, but the Rocket looks new. I've had Ghoul RC motors look almost just like this. And there's another seller on eBay that sells something very similar. I can't remember what that one's called. But anyway, this one's about $85. It's censored, and it's 1950 kV. So I don't know. This might be a good contender, but I'm kind of hesitant to try it because I've had bad luck with the cans. I've got one bad can. Now, the sensorless ones that look almost similar have been good. I haven't had the issues with the sensorless like I have with the censored. So this might be a real contender right here. All right, guys. So also, I was looking at a few used motors. These look to be in good condition. One thing I'd like to show you about this, it doesn't use the standard size large bearings, and I will show you all that here in a moment. It uses what's typical, like a typical size 8/16x5 bearing. So I've had a lot of bearing issues going out. The motor is good. If they were to not have a shaft that has to accept the 8mm diameter for where it goes through, I think this could be a better motor if they used one of this more standard size, the 5/16x5. So these could be an option. I don't know. All right, so here's the different sizes of the two bearings. So this is what your standard 8-scale motor takes in the front bearing, the larger bearing. And then this one is a size that the SMC motor takes. And now this is an NSK sealed ball bearing one. This is I had one. I put this bearing in it and sold it. I didn't get any bad reviews. I said it was working well, but I had been using NMB bearings that were in this size. But the bearings in this size are just not as durable and last as long as these, is what I found. Now, these NSK bearings, I haven't used them as in a motor application other than the one I sold, but in every other spot I use them on my Serpent buggies. I've never had one fail, so very smooth. These bearings are like, $7.50 a piece retail. On eBay, they sell a whole sleeve of, I think, 100 of them for $94. There may be 80 of them, but it's a whole lot. It's a great deal because each one retail value is like $7.50, $8. So if you get an SMC, definitely get some of these NSK 816 by 5, or this is a 516 by 5, I mean 5 diameter here, 8 millimeter diameter here, 16 is from the circumference, and 5 on each of them is the width. So anyway, definitely if you got the SMC, get you a good bearing, because after the one that it comes with fails, you may have a tough time finding a good bearing. Maybe you could buy a replacement from SMC, probably could, but anyway. All right, guys, so let's move on to the last. There's 2 other motors. I was looking at Hobby Wing and a Tekin, and I probably won't even go ahead and show those. But basically, the gist of it is that I think there's good alternatives for people without so much money, to spend, that will work just fine, I guess we're going to find out. But I think the one I'm going to decide, or that I've decided on, I'm going to pull it back up, and I'll tell you why. And y'all leave a comment and let me know what y'all think. Because I'm thinking about going with the sensorless Rocket 4268 that's in 1980 kV. So it's a little higher kV than 1900. It's not censored, but it costs about the same price I paid for the Hobby Wing Quick Run, which is Hobby Wing's lowest quality of motor. But I don't know, for the price, I got to try it out, because they all will fail eventually. If you keep bearings in them, you have a less likely chance. If you install it correctly, you don't want to, make the mistake I did with the other Surpass motor, where I used some flux, which flux is designed primarily for the wires, for like when you want to tin your wires for all your connections on your ESC. But on the motor side, it's that wire is going on to the metal tab, and then if you don't wipe off the flux real well, I really believe the flux drip down in to the back of this motor, which just doesn't have the right rear on it. This was a motor I tried to repair, but anyway, it leaked down in there into the windings. So when you open up the back, you can look right down there and see a couple burnt spots that are black and look like they have like a resin on them. Oh yeah, guys. So definitely want to watch out when using flux for the motor connection side. All right, guys, so here is the motor I think I'm going to settle on. It's $52 to $55 on eBay with shipping and stuff. Some of it might be, I don't know, it's probably going to be about, just under $60 shipped to my doorstep. It does appear to have the wires that I can cut and solder directly to the ESC. But if they are hard, like some of the other ones I was looking at, I will not be, doing that. I would just put, wires, extensions with the 6.5 millimeter female bullets to accept these. But it looks pretty much like the Hobby Wing motors that I just spent $50 for. I think, this is like the step above their finless can. So, I don't know, guys. I'll probably wait to see a little while just to see how the other sensorless application or sensorless motor works in my truggy. But yeah, guys, so that's what we're going to try out. So, leave a comment if you know of any other motors that might be a good alternative to try that's under $100. Because, the $150 motors and they're going on up. Now you can get them for $225 for different Macklin and Reedy and various stuff. But, all right, guys, let me know what you think about this motor. It's the Rocket 1980 kV. Thanks.